I do not think exam papers are being used properly. I think you're using them far too late in the year. You're doing them all at once. You're doing it in front of the telly, or you're just not doing them at all. As I'm sure you know, past papers are a really effective way to revise, not only to assess your knowledge and give an indication of what level or what grade you're performing at, but it can really help develop your exam technique for that particular exam. That's why it's important to get past papers in early, and I actually mean that in one of two ways. First of all, physically get them. You don't want to be getting up to here and realising that you don't have any past papers because either they don't have any, you couldn't get hold of some, it costs money sometimes to get past papers. If any of that's going to be the case, you want to know about that here, not here, because most people rely on past papers as part of their revision strategy. So physically get your past papers early on, and while you're at it, go onto the exam board website and get yourself the mark scheme and the course specification, because these will be useful later on. Now, as I said, past papers are really effective to be using early on. Now here's why. First of all, I don't mean sit down and take it seriously like an exam. I'm talking relax, sitting down with a brew and just reading through it, taking note of how the exam is structured, how many marks are on the paper over how many questions. In other words, what can you expect from this exam paper? Also, have a first glance of what in the exam paper you can do already, what you think you can do, or what you definitely can't do. Look to see if there's any particular topic that scares you a little so you can be prepared later on. Now, make a note of all this, and I recommend you writing your notes in one of the 140 finest quality paper in this Oxford Campus notebook, link in description. And study those notes alongside the mark scheme and the course specification. And what you're going to get is a sense or a feel of what the year is going to look like, what the year is going to have in store for you. Then when you're going through these lessons, you're going to be able to relate it back to that past paper that you took at the start. You're going to be able to make connections from the course material to how you're going to be assessed on it. And this is a really powerful tool for later on when it actually comes to your revision sessions. Now, this is the time when you do start taking past papers, and the first one you should start with is the one you started with. Now, I know you might be thinking, well, I've been studying that one all through the year. It's not going to give an accurate representation of how well I can perform. And that's correct, but it's just a good way to break the ice with the exam paper, because your first past paper tends to be your worst past paper. Also, you're unlikely, unless you're that good, to get 100%, so you will find some holes in the ship that you need to be patching up, and this is where your notebook, link in description, will be really useful, because you want to be noting down areas you're struggling with, or particular questions, or the structure of the questions, like essay questions you are struggling with. Then you want to be spending a week working on that area before you do take another past paper. And this is generally how I advise you go about it. Take a past paper, use the mark scheme, you learn from your mistakes, you work on those mistakes for a week using the other revision techniques I discussed in this video series, and then you take another past paper, and you sort of repeat that cycle until you get towards your end of year exams, where hopefully you should be well prepared, not just in the subject knowledge, but also in your exam technique. And for me, this is really maximising the use of past papers. By using them early on, you will start to build a revision strategy as you're going along. Then when you get to your end of year exams, you won't be wasting time trying to get used to the exam format, the structure. You'll be so used to the exam that you just be cracking on and how to ace it, which ultimately this exam decides on how well you perform for the year. But this should only ever be part of your revision strategy, not your whole revision strategy. So make sure you check out the rest of these videos in this series. Make a comment below if you're using past papers, if you found them successful or not. If you have found this video useful, a like is appreciated. Subscribe if you want to see more, but most of all, just comment, because comments make my day. Good luck with any upcoming exams. I hope to see you in future videos. My name's Joshua. Bye bye. You won't be wasting time. Now, as I said, past papers are really effective to be using early on. Now, here's why. If go on to the